It's here. Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Angie.
Oh, my goodness, Mary. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey, we're here, the HSN Podcast, your girls, Mary and Angie. And boy, what a special way to bring in the new year. Can you believe it is a new year?
2020. I cannot believe it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, today we have got the very amazing, delicious eye candy, amazing chef, restaurateur. We can go on and on. Curtis Stone is going to be joining us in our brand new space, by the way.
Brand new studio.
It looks
Looking
so
sharp.
good.
Yeah.
Similar to the other one. But the
tweaks.
HSN, a little tweaky here in the HSN podcast.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, YouTube, you can see us as well as hear all the fun and shenanigans that kind of go on here. So I just got to ask right away, holiday, how was it?
So good. It was so good to be around family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
I ate way too much.
So you're a size 2 now if you ate too much.
But yeah, how was yours?
It was so busy. I got to tell you, I love my family, but I am happy that they are gone.
I hear you.
It was a revolving door. So I probably had between 12 and 14 people,
gosh.
in and out. It was like one person fly in, then the next day 2 leave, and 5 people come, and they stay 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm happy just to have my house back and have a little bit of solitude. There's a lot to reflect on and do, but overall it was really, really good. And I didn't do any traveling over the holiday. No, everybody came to Florida.
Oh,
Everybody
nice.
wanted to be here, so that was really nice.
Nice.
Normally I'm on a plane.
I did New York.
Did
Went to New York,
you?
yep. It was freezing though.
Yeah.
Cold.
It's hard to get used to.
Like 20 degrees, but really nice.
Yes.
Fun.
Well, as being married, your first Christmas with your husband, was that different?
Yes, so fun. So we split the holiday.
Okay.
I went with his family to St. Augustine.
Okay.
Which was beautiful. They do all the lights. If you've never been.
Nice. No, I've never been.
So pretty. Yeah, so we did that. And yeah, in New York, and I did my New York trip.
Okay.
We saw the Rockettes.
Oh, yeah. Does
Put me in the holiday spirit.
I was just going to say that. It does.
Yeah.
It's something about, did you get to Rockefeller Center?
I did.
You see the tree?
Tree was incredible. Yeah.
Good stuff.
But there's no place like home,
Yeah. I know. Sometimes I'm like, where do I live? Where am I? Where am I? You're in Munchkin land.
Just always on the go. So with the new year.
Yes.
Any new Year resolutions or?
Okay. So New Year, your way. Right? That's the thing. And thank you, HSN, for keeping it real.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the slogan, which is really, really cute because there's always new things I want to do. Of course, diet is a really big thing. There's something about January that kind of fires me up to say, all right, let's get the eraser out and cross off all the stuff that I jacked up, right? Because like you, I ate a little bit extra, a few extra cocktails. So the eating and then trying to find the best workout. Oh, speaking of which, I've got something in my goodie bag for us to try. So, keto. You know about keto, right? We don't have to eat these
keto.
now. Okay. We don't have to eat those now, but I have keto bars. We can talk about that in a second. But that's a big thing. Having the right snacks, having the right fitness routine for me, having the right mental space. I really want to start meditating more. I love to read my word in the beginning of the day, but just kind of scale back. I've been overstimulated for months. From Halloween, Thanksgiving to Christmas, and I'm like, woo, woosah.
Yeah,
need to
I
woosah.
know. Something I really want to do this year is read more books. Right before I go to bed, I'm always on my phone, on the computer, with that blue light constantly.
Did you get those glasses, by the way?
The blue light glasses?
Yeah.
I've got them.
Oh, do you? Doesn't help, right? Your eyes are
a little bit, but yeah.
So
taking more time for myself.
Yeah.
And then exercising a lot more. I did something a little crazy. I haven't even run a 5K. I've never really signed up for any type of race. And this year I just signed up for a triathlon.
What?
I know.
Wait,
for later this year.
Time out.
So that's
wait a minute. You haven't done a 5K, but you're ready. So you're going to start training for it.
I'm starting to train now. Yeah.
Wow.
It's this spring.
That's a big deal.
I've got some time, but if you have any tips, or if anyone out there has some tips,
get a trainer.
I know, I'm going to follow a schedule.
Okay.
And,
to do so many miles. So you're going to run, bike, swim?
Run, bike, swim.
What?
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
A friend of mine used to do half marathons.
Oh, wow.
And he's a trainer. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But, just take some discipline. Good for you.
Yeah.
It's nice to have some goals and kind of get it and rock it. You know what? Have you seen on HSN all the like New Year, like inspirations from our fave celebs, like Juliana? She's so cute.
She's so good.
I can't even stand how cute she is, right? We all love Juliana. She says to like put some time away, especially Sunday, which a lot of people do, to just kind of, pamper yourself.
Yeah.
And I think just pick a day. Like pick
Sunday
a day,
self-care.
cheat day, right? Whether it's cheat or do something you love, great time to start. Because if you do it 21 days, they say it becomes a habit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do anything
love
21
that.
days and it becomes a habit.
Okay.
So we need to start training. And then bar for you, and this is the only bar I need to be in.
Let me see.
So take your pick. These are the no sugar keto bars. So I've got chocolate peanut butter.
Ooh.
Okay, the mint.
that.
The crazy thing is I don't love chocolate, so we're going to be trying these together first.
Okay.
Chocolate chip cookie dough, which I do love cookie dough, and another chocolate mint. So help yourself. I'll
Okay.
take this one.
I'm a huge peanut butter fan, so I think I'll try that.
Okay, try it. So here's the deal. I was inspired by my little brother. My little brother is 6'6", but he started keto, and ketosis is the longer word for keto. And keto really is putting your body in a state of ketosis, right? So you fast for a certain amount of time, you eat for a certain amount of time,
Okay.
you cut back on this, that, and the third, and then, it kind of helps your body get into a better, not just in shape, but it's better for your body. A lot of people are suggesting. You see people on TV all the time that drop in weight left and right because they put their body in a state of rest versus eating, right? Okay. So anyway, I'm like, all right, bro, I got to try it. So I'm like, BJ, it's my brother. I'm like, what do you do? Where do I start? No sugar, cut this out, water, bring your water bottle, do this. So I said, let me start. And we're always on the go, Mary, right? We're traveling, we're living lives. So in my little belt bag, I grab these bars. So what do you think? Now, I was going to tell you the ingredients. Okay, so they're high in protein, so these could be meal replacements if you want. 0 sugar, which is important for keto.
Right.
And of course, when you eat, how you eat. I'm going to do from 12 noon to stop eating at 6. So anyway, these are just great meals because you can eat unlimited basically during that time, but you want to eat smarter. So and HSN has these. That's where I got these. These are really great. What do you think?
Wow, so good. Yeah, I'm a huge bar fan in general. I love in the morning because I never know what to eat when I wake up.
I'm not hungry when
I'm not hungry either. I usually eat around, what's the fasting? You can do 12-hour fast? Or?
You can do, there's different methods.
Okay.
I was watching Dr. Oz. He says one thing. Everybody says something different.
Oh, these are delicious.
There's so many plans out there. I really suggest if you want to try a keto lifestyle for a while, do your research, talk to your physician, all that good stuff. But these, my friend, these are fabulous. Okay, so they're high in protein, which is good.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat when I first wake up. There's 75% healthy fats. So when I saw the size, I saw the protein, there's only 160 calories. That's why I bought these, of course, from our our go-to, right? I went on HSN. There's a whole variety pack.
Yeah.
So
and no
really
sugar. Cool. That's huge.
You gotta have
That's
no
huge
sugar.
for me. Yeah.
The only place that's hard is my coffee. I'd love to have, gotta have a splash of cream, but I'm trying to skip it.
Yeah.
And no, I do the liquid sugar.
Oh, okay.
Agave. So I'm trying that. And I tried Splenda and some other substitutes and skinny sugars.
But these are really, really good. I mean, I love this peanut butter one.
Just
super good. And only 3 net carbs. That's great.
gotta count your carbs.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm so sorry to chew. If you're hungry, forgive me.
Yeah.
But
well, that's great.
Any
I
Christmas?
want to share.
You got an Apple Watch?
So this actually is not an Apple Watch. This is the Fitbit Versa 2.
Get out of here.
Doesn't it look exactly like the Apple Watch?
Wait a minute.
But
that
it's
matches
literally
my
half the price.
phone case. Okay.
I know.
All right.
Isn't this color pretty?
That's
so it's
really pretty.
This color's rose, and it literally looks so much like the Apple Watch. I've loved it.
So that's what you're going to use to train?
To train, yeah. I can count my steps. And this one also has the Alexa. The Amazon Alexa sync to it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're going to talk
really,
to
really
your
cool.
watch. You're going to talk to your watch. I love it. You're like, is this over? Am I done training?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to ask her.
But it's really good because it tracks your heart rate. I'm going to need all those things while I train.
You will.
So,
and then you can say how long before Curtis Stone comes. Oh, I'm kidding.
I know, right? I've got it right here.
He's coming in, by the way. Curtis Stone is joining us on the HSN podcast.
But it's really cool. Do you want to check it out?
Yeah, that's it's first of all, it's gorgeous.
It is.
Because we want like hardware that's like really fly, right?
You can wear it with
That's
everything.
pretty.
Yeah,
I
and it
thought it was an
stores
Apple
300 songs.
What?
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
I remember the days I'd like have my phone strapped to me in an armband, and you have like you're tethered in cords everywhere. So
you know what? I had the original Fitbit. You know the small dark. Skinny,
yeah, there's no screen really,
there's no
right?
Screen. Yeah, they've really come out with just incredible technology. This one also tracks your sleep.
Wow, that's good. I never get enough sleep. No, never.
Yeah.
I'm still recouping from family.
Well, you need those 8-hour. Hopefully 8 hour.
And you definitely miss
on the go.
Yeah.
Track star.
Right. You're going to run marathons in a minute, okay?
Speaking of track, check out my track jacket. Isn't this cute?
You know what? I like the ribbon down the side. Who makes that?
This is Skinny Girl.
Yeah. Cute. Skinny Girl. I mean,
Girl.
how many pair of jeans do I have? Listen, if you haven't tried Skinny Girl, you do not need to be skinny. Let me just say that right now. Because so many people say, oh, well, this is too big, or this is too round, or this is too full. My stomach is full. Okay, my stomach is bigger than my hips and butt right now, but that's a whole nother story. So you can still do it. They still have sizes, and I love the stretch in them. Does that have stretch
comfy.
too?
Yeah, and it's, I guess they kind of call this athleisure now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's super, super comfy. This is velvet.
What is that, velvet? That's cute.
Yeah.
Let me see. No, I like that. That's nice. Like you'd want a towel made out of that.
Yeah,
that's cute.
What about you? What do I
have today? Of course, my naturalizers. By the way, I'm about to have surgery on my foot, so I've got my little natural. I know. I don't know what I did. It's definitely not from running, but that'll be later. I'll let you know when that's happening. But I've got these leggings, which are delectable. Last year we had Miss Diane Gilman. These leggings off the chain. Ooh. They are so good. They've got this like, not leather, but they're like silky and smooth. And that waistband is holding Thanksgiving, New Year's, whatever's going to happen before these keto bars kick in. So it feels really good. And I've got who's my top?
That sweater.
Who's my top? I think this is Juliana.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing her, I don't know if it was December, I think. And I think I picked it up there.
I love that sweater.
I like the
Still
color.
very holiday.
It's just like bright. Yeah.
I tuned into Juliana's TS a couple weeks ago with her bomber jackets.
I
loved those jackets.
I think I have like 2 of her jackets, like bomber jackets.
Yeah. They're really, really
I got to check that out. I missed that.
I got the black one, and then she also had it in leopard, the puffer one.
She's so stinking cute. Yeah. I can't even stand her. New year, new Juliana. That's what I'm going to say. So there's a lot of things coming up on the show that we're going to talk about and discuss, and most of them rhyme with bone. That's Curtis Stone.
I cannot wait to hear his story. I'm really excited.
Okay, so we have a little past. And if you want to know about Curtis Stone and me having a little past,
I want to know.
I know you do, and so does everybody else. So you got to stick around, because when we get back,
tune in.
Curtis Stone and all the dirt and juice about our past. You're going to be like, Angie, really? Mm-hmm. I know. So stay tuned. More of the HSN Podcast. This is your comfort zone. Welcome. This is it. Thanks. In the house.
Curtis Stone here.
When Curtis walked in, I smelled barbecue meatballs. And
we're getting very
meat.
Personal all of a sudden.
Welcome, buddy. It's so good to see you.
Nice to see you
New year. You've got the HSN podcast. You're like warming that seat up. You're the first you're the first guest in our new studio space.
Happy New Year, you guys.
Yeah.
Happy New
Year.
Like
breaking the couch. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Good.
You could do a little breaking in. It's still a little firm. I'll soften it up. Don't you worry.
Did you have a great holiday? Do you celebrate the holidays?
Sure
and how do you do? Okay.
So we do it different every year because I'm an Aussie. So half the time we go home back to Australia. We did that this year. We took our boys back. And then, of course, the rest of the time we're here in the States. And it was fun. It was really cool. I got to see my family and, my mum's still there. She reminds me every time I see her how long I've left home for. Because she's a little bitter. She wished that I just never left.
Does she want to move maybe to the States?
It would be worse if it was the opposite. Imagine if she was like, thank God he's gone.
That's true. That's true.
She doesn't. No, she doesn't. No. Well, I mean, the rest of my brother and the rest of the family's still there. So I'm the outcast.
Okay. You probably go there and exhale. Sorry, yeah.
Where in Australia are you from?
I'm from Melbourne.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I've been there. And I got to tell you, Melbourne, you say it's so cute. You're an Aussie, so you're from down under.
I'm
but like,
the podcast.
Is it like... You think it's Melbourne, right? Yeah. So we went there. I went to Auckland and and Christchurch, and I sailed all around.
Right.
Went through the Tasman Sea, and I'm like, I still can't pronounce anything right. I feel probably as an American, I say everything wrong. So that you guys have really cute phrases and sayings. And I was scared to say anything. I'm like, does this mean something else here? But
we do. It's like we speak a different language.
You do.
It's quite funny. Yeah. Sometimes I'll say something and my wife will say, "Oh, how could you say that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" That's
what I'm saying.
It's what did I say recently? I said, "Oh, he's really hopeless," and we would say that like almost endearing, like kind of cute, like, "Oh, he can't get his act together." And she was like, "You can't call him hopeless." And I'm like,
"Cute."
Anyway,
you're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So you got it's busy time for you. It's like TS this month. Any resolutions maybe you're planning or you started?
I never keep my resolutions, and I've become okay with that fact.
Yeah.
I tried to learn Spanish. Like 6 years in a row, it was my result. And I was like, okay, this just isn't working.
Right, at some point, give it up.
Yeah, and then when you look back, you're like, actually, none of my resolutions ever come true. So I've just given up on it. I just try and keep a good balance all the time.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I've got a keto bar. Do you try keto? Are you hungry ever? Do you have protein bars?
No, I don't.
Did you see his face? Curtis, you gave me the funniest face. Like, no. You'd rather a cheeseburger, right?
Oh, you know what? I would rather a cheeseburger. You're right.
What do you eat? Like, what is your go-to when you're hungry?
It's funny. I'm a busy guy, right? Mm-hmm. So quite often I'll get into work and I genuinely won't have time to eat. And it'll get to 4:00. We serve family meal to our team every day at 4, and it's always really delicious. And quite often, when my brother first started working with me, he moved over to the States, and he said, "You don't have meals, you have meal. You just have one meal." And it's kind of true. Like I skip breakfast and lunch and then we eat this giant meal because you get really hungry at 4:00. And then as chefs, we're in the kitchen until midnight. So sometimes we go for a taco after work and sometimes we don't bother. It's sort of... It's probably not the healthiest eating schedule. We should eat more often. I mean, I guess we pick as we go, right? Like we're constantly tasting things as we're working our way through the day. But you never sit down and stop and actually have a meal.
That's a shame.
When I'm at home, I do the cooking. I love it.
Really?
I do.
Wait a minute.
I genuinely do.
You have a beautiful wife, by the way.
I sure do.
How cute is that?
Her.
Yeah. Beautiful actress wife. And I mean, you would think she'd be like, "Honey, I got this. You've been cooking all day." Does she do that?
Well, she does all the heavy lifting. She cooks for the kids.
Oh, okay.
90, because they eat at 5:00 and I'm rarely back by that time. So she does all of the stuff and she's conscious of getting lots of veggies into their diet. So, and that's all the hard stuff. It's easy to do a dinner party and be fancy and
true.
Get a bunch of pats on the back at the end of it all. But it's hard to make spaghetti bolognese 3 times a week. And she does it. She knocks it out.
So do you teach her how to cook or does she have recipes she shares with you?
If I ever go in there and give her any advice, she just turns around and walks out. So I've learned to shut my mouth. So I'm like, if she's ever doing anything and I'm like, honey, if you just turn, she just literally spins and starts to walk. And I'm like, oh, no.
That's funny.
So yeah, she's tricked. She's got the trick with me.
Curtis, can you take us back? I'd love to know your story and how you got started. And
sure.
I want to hear it all.
So I started cooking when I was a kid. My mum was a really good baker, actually. She'd make delicious cookies and cakes and that sort of stuff. And I can remember watching her in the kitchen and just anticipating what was coming out of the oven. And when she'd finish making the batter, I'd always want the beaters and I'd always want the spatula that I could sit there and have. And I think, that sort of, I was always a greedy kid. And it's never really changed. I'm still greedy. In fact, the people in my office above our restaurant, they say they've figured out. I come up and eat their snacks after service, right? So I go up and they'll have things laying around and I eat it. So then they have hiding spots and I figured out where their hiding spots are. So then, so we play this little cat and mouse game and they say, "You're so greedy, you eat everybody's food," and it's true. But I think I've always been obsessed with it, so it's funny because when you're sort of going through high school, I think most people are kind of still figuring it out. And to me, it was just I was always going to be a chef. Wow. I started cooking. I gave up a law degree to go and cook, do an apprenticeship, much to my dad's disappointment.
I was just going to say, your parents were like, excuse me. You're going to pay this loan back?
And my dad's an accountant, so you can imagine the finance manager's opinion of that. He's like, "You're going to cook and you could be a lawyer? Are you out of your mind?" And now he does my books, which is pretty funny.
Oh, that's great.
Full circle.
That's great. Have you ever worked at a fast food restaurant?
I never have. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I never did.
Like at the first job.
Well, a lot of people have that. My mum was a florist. So my first job was working in a flower shop and scrubbing the buckets. Flowers stink. Have you ever?
When they get
rotten. They're gross. I mean, they're beautiful. You walk into the shop and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. But if you work in the back, they get all slimy and you have to scrub all those vases and the buckets. And
that's a tough job.
That was my job, yeah. Not very glamorous. Didn't get me many girlfriends. What's your part-time job? Oh, I work in a florist cleaning that.
But you probably gave great gifts.
I did.
There you go. You got some cool points for the gifts you gave.
So you went from flower shop. Is that high school?
That was during high school.
Okay.
When I started my apprenticeship, I was 18, so I started working when I was 18, left high school. I didn't go to college. I got a year into it and I hated it. Because to me, cooking was creative and it was developing stuff and it was fun and, I did a bit of it at home. And then when I started working in a big hotel, it was a 5-star hotel, I was in the banquet department. So when you're the lowest common denominator, you walk in there and they're like, right, see that sack of onions? Peel them and then slice them thinly. And you're like, okay. So that takes 2.5 hours and you go back and you're like, right, did that. And he's like, okay, great. See the sack behind it? Go do that one. And then you seriously slice onions. And at the time you don't realize they're the skills you need. And one day you'll be able to slice an onion like a ninja. Right. But at the time you kind of like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. So I stopped. I didn't stop. But a year in, I was like, my dad was right. I should have done a business degree. So I went to university part-time.
Yeah.
I started doing that degree. So I'd go to work in the morning. I'd get a break between like 2 o'clock when lunch had finished and 5 o'clock when dinner had started. So I'd go and take my lectures and then I'd go back to work. So I've always been a workaholic or a busyaholic. And then I sort of got a couple of years into the degree and by then I'd started to enjoy my job. I went to a smaller restaurant and then I sort of, at 22, I finished my apprenticeship as a qualified chef and I decided to travel. So I moved to Europe and lived in Europe for 10 years. I worked for a guy named Marco Pierre White. And Marco was the craziest chef on the planet. He's the youngest guy to win 3 Michelin stars. And
big deal, yeah.
Marco was an intense dude. And he would scream and yell. And the energy in that place was electric,
Nice.
Most people were like, oh, my God, he's an animal. How can you work for him? And I just loved it. The pressure and the, can we make it? Am I going to get fired tonight?
Right.
It was a regular feeling. And I worked for him for 8 years and ended up running one of his restaurants. And that was sort of how it all happened.
Where in Europe were you?
I was in London working for Marco. Okay. Traveled a little through Spain and worked a little in France and but sort of settled down in London.
Well, having many hats is like no big deal for you from young because restaurateur, reality star, celebrity chef, dad, husband, let me see, author. It just goes on and on. When you hear that list, are you like, I trained for this my life? Or is it just the more it comes, the more energy it gives you?
I love what I do. I genuinely wake up in the morning and whether I'm out here in Florida and I'm going on and sharing what we do from a culinary perspective through products or getting up in the morning and running in to see whether the recipe I made the night before has turned out okay, I love it. I get up excited to go to work, and I think when that happens, if you're lucky enough to find that in your life, stuff just keeps coming your way, it just keeps snowballing. And as something comes up, it's either a problem or an opportunity, right? And I usually like to solve problems and I'm like, awesome, this has happened and I'm going to try and fix it like this or that. And I've had plenty of failures along the way and, you learn from those hopefully. And I love it. So, I guess it happens gradually. Not the husband and father thing. That all happened pretty quick.
Just takes one shot for that one.
And how did you transition into television?
I was working at a restaurant called Quo Vadis in London.
Okay.
And somebody wrote a book called London's Finest Chefs. And they asked me if I would be one of the chefs. And we had to give them a bunch of recipes and they came and did a photo shoot. And I was super flattered because there was all these incredible chefs in the book that I'd sort of always looked up to. I was only 26 or 7 at the time. And then when the book was published, I remember getting the first copy and I was like, oh my God, I'm in a book. This is wild,
Nice.
And they wanted us to go and do some like morning publicity,
like interviews and stuff,
to promote it. And I did something on the BBC. They had a morning show where they cooked called Saturday Morning Kitchen. And then the producer spoke to me after and said, we'd like you to come back and do like a regular segment. And I was like, okay, sure, promote the restaurant. And then that turned into a little show and then that little show turned into another one and it just sort of snowballed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now, do you have any advice for chefs, potential chefs that are listening to you that are like, you know what? Because I always feel like you have to stretch a little bit. Like you can't just want to cook in a restaurant or just be a sous chef, or maybe you get your education, you graduate, you don't. Like, there's so many paths to take.
There are. And our industry's grown like phenomenally, right?
Yes,
it used to be this big, and now you can do all this different stuff. And I sort of think, whatever you're interested in, I know it sounds so corny and everyone says it, like follow your dreams.
Right.
But the truth is, like, if you love something, you should chase it down because you'll be good at it.
Yeah.
Even in a kitchen, if you don't love eating seafood, you won't be very good at cooking it. And if you're not into meat, you won't be a great meat cook. And if you're not into desserts. So I really think that you should just chase the thing that you love and try and make it your career. Within our business, within our, industry, there's lots of different avenues. You could be a food stylist. You could be a catering chef, a private chef.
True.
You could try and break into the TV media stuff. It's a little harder and it's a little cramped probably, but there's still tons of opportunities.
That's so true. That's so true. So there's a lot of important women in your life.
There are.
Maude.
Yes.
Gwen. And I say that because your restaurants, I think the names have such meaning. Like there's a passion behind it. Tell us about those two, about your restaurants.
Well, when I opened Maude, I was opening a restaurant. I wanted it to be 24 seats. And you get to that point where you're like, okay, what are we going to call it?
Yeah.
And I sat there and I thought about it. And everybody else has these really interesting names for their restaurants. And I sort of went around in circles and nothing really resonated with me. And then I started thinking about how I built the restaurant, because the nature of the restaurant was a 24-seat dining room.
That's really small. Wow. Like you're
Tiny.
in banquet halls and doing all these TV. We're talking about 24 seats. It's like
twice the size of this little podcast room.
Wow. Right.
It's really intimate. But I did that because I wanted to cook really elevated food, and I wanted to I knew I wasn't going to make any money there necessarily, but I just wanted to work really hard and prove myself as a chef, kind of to myself, because I'd taken this turn in my career where I'd worked in fine dining restaurants my whole life and then got involved in the media. And then people ask me like, oh, are you actually a chef? They'd see a TV show. Are you actually a chef? And I'm like, am I actually a chef? I'm a great chef. So to me, I sort of thought I've got to get back into the game. And I don't want any excuses because it's easy to get excuses. It's easy to say, well, I've got to go traveling or I've got to do this TV show. So I actually, when I bought the restaurant, I sat down with a designer and I said, I don't want any walls apart from the bathrooms. Put a bathroom,
Thank you very much
in the bathroom, but no walls in the building. So then, you could see the dishwasher you could see every person in the kitchen. So clearly, if I'm not there, people are going to say, well, he's never there. Yeah. So I wanted it to feel special, and I wanted to have no excuses. And then as I started thinking about that as a concept, I thought, if I named it after someone I really loved, you couldn't cheat on them. You couldn't not do the right thing by that restaurant, because restaurants do take on a culture of their own. They become their own beast. They become their own thing. And Maude, my granny, she taught me how to play tennis. She taught me how to play cards. She taught me how to cook. She got me involved in food from a young age. So I thought to myself, well, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to name it after her.
By the way, it's in Beverly Hills, so if anyone's going out west or you're listening out there, stop by First Solo Restaurant. I think Maude is such a sophisticated name, but my grandmother was special to me too, so I think that's like so awesome.
That's really special.
There's a big photo of her on the wall still. So she keeps her eye on the room, which is fun.
I love it. We need to go, Mary, so when we're out there.
I'd love
that. We travel a lot, so we'll definitely stop by.
And why Beverly Hills?
Look, I think the business side of a restaurant is if you're going to open a high-end restaurant, you need to be near people that can afford it, right? If you're going to open a taco stand, you want to be near lots of people because you need to sell lots of them. So, I mean, that's kind of the business side of it. I didn't know much about LA. I was pretty new to it still. Maybe I'd been there 4 or 5 years. So, blindly, I was kind of like, I think the people with all the money live in Beverly Hills, so let's open one in Beverly. So, it was that simple. I went and started sort of looking at real estate around there, and this tiny little place came up. I didn't want to be near all the fancy restaurants. I kind of wanted to be a bit more where the locals of Beverly Hills hung out, and that's where we are on South Beverly.
Good. And then your next one, Gwen, which is also on the West Coast. We need to get you to the East Coast, but yeah. And then Gwen is your other one. You opened that with your brother?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Family business.
Nice.
He started his apprenticeship as a butcher. I did the same, actually. I started cutting meat. Well, that hotel I was telling you about, the Southern Cross Hotel, I started working in the kitchen, and then I hated the banquet kitchen so badly, I asked the chef to move me. And he said, well, we have a butcher shop. I'll put you in the butcher shop. And I was like, fine. So I went there, and I cut meat for the first 12 months of my career. And that's sort of what my brother and I always spoke about, you know, because butcher shops disappeared, right? Like 100 years ago.
Right.
They were everywhere and they were great, and, you know, it's where you source good meats. And these days it's become more a place to go to a supermarket or whatever. And
True.
I'm not saying they don't have good meat, but I do think that when you really want to specialize in something,
Right.
we wanted to make our own charcuterie. So we said, let's start a butcher shop. Now, butcher shops are tough to make money in. They're very difficult because these supermarkets, you know, we buy an animal, they buy the herd. You know, it's very hard to compete. So what we do, I put my phone on silent, and for some reason it keeps beeping.
Is it vibrating over there?
Well, it
Wait,
is.
can I read it? I mean,
No, it's not. It's not a text. It's on airplane mode. Why is it ringing?
This is us. You can answer it. We're cool. Mary and I can talk. I'll have a sip of water.
Hold on.
Might be somebody good.
Look, it is. It's on airplane mode.
Is it Oprah? What, I mean, I'm just checking. Okay.
Hey, oh.
Can you tell us about that? What it was like meeting Oprah?
I mean, it's surreal, right? Like, it's kind of...
Of course. Do you don't know how to sit? Like your hands feel funny? Does your mouth get dry?
Well, she was doing her show back then, and they invited me in to do a competition. It was called a sandwich showdown. You had to come and do a sandwich showdown. And I was like, okay, not only do I have to meet Oprah, which is amazing, exciting, but very nerve-wracking, but I also am going to compete. You know, as a culinarian, competing isn't...
To game face go on.
Right, you kind of like, I can make an amazing sandwich. And they said, you can't practice the sandwich because when you meet the person, they're going to tell you what kind of things you like, and you're going to work with one of the people from the audience. So I was like, okay, cool. Of course, I totally cheated, and I went and practiced this perfect sandwich. It was so good too. I baked the bread in time, and I was doing this incredible surf and turf kind of a sandwich. So I had it all dialed down. I knew I was going to win. Mm-hmm. I go onto the show, and then the person that I meet says, I'm a vegan. Ooh. And I had to make a vegan...
Just what you get.
So see, cheats never prosper. Right. But the first time I met Oprah, she walked into my dressing room, holding her shoes, in bare feet. She opened the door and she said, has anyone offered you a cup of tea or a coffee? And I was like,
wow.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
I want one, but I'm fine, you know.
That's so real.
And that's what she's like. You know, she's very, very human. She's very real. Mm-hmm. We became friends. We I did a bunch of stuff with her when she came out to Australia for the first time. I threw this big barbecue up on the Whitsundays, and they flew 100 of her fans in, and you know, so we've done a variety of things together. And she's just one of those human beings that you like. They broke the mold when they made her, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's not the only famous person you know, because I have a little something. You know, we joked before you came on that I shared we had a past. So I think it's time to let more about this. Mary's been asking. She's been nervous. Her knees are knocking. So I'm going to admit to everyone right now how Angie and Curtis Stone have a past. I'm going to grab it.
Get it. What do we got?
Dun, dun,
Yes!
dun. Do you remember this? Okay, so hopefully you can see this.
When was that?
This was, how long have you been on HSN?
Oh my goodness. I was going to say it's only 7 years, but that looks like it's from 20 years ago.
It does, right? We were both
babies.
I was light. I jumped on his back, by the way. We were in the makeup room at HSN, and you've always been so incredibly cool. And everyone teased me. They're like, you got on Curtis Stone's back. I'm like, yes.
That's so funny.
I did. You actually let me take the makeup brush and put foundation. It was he's cool. So for anyone who thinks that, I'll have you sign this later and I'll auction that off. No, I'm kidding. That's our past. Yes, I've jumped on your back. I've done your makeup before and hit full circle. We're in the HSN podcast. So it's wonderful. And I got to tell you, were just as cool and honest and authentic, and you had the same apron. Actually, that's the black and white one. Now you got a blue
I changed.
and white one.
The world evolves.
You washed it. You washed it.
To blue.
But you've got some pretty cool famous folks, like working with Donald Trump. What was that like on his show?
I mean,
speechless,
did you
right?
hear that silence?
No, I heard a cricket.
Dropped.
It was, well, you know what? The truth is, when I got asked to do that show, I said no. Mm-hmm. And then I watched it because I heard about it, I watched it, and then I watched it and I was like, wow, they really do drum up a lot of publicity for their charity. And I was working with a really cool charity at the time. Mm-hmm. So they asked me again the following year, and I was like, you know what, I will. Mm-hmm. I will. It was right after 2008, so I didn't have much going on because no one was booking me for anything anyway. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. So I went on to do the show, and, you know, everybody was really famous apart from me. And I was kind of like, well, I wonder what I'm doing here, you know, because we had Cyndi Lauper and Bret Michaels and Bill Goldberg and Blagojevich, the governor that went to jail. You know, so all these incredible, you know, celebrities. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone was like, who are you? Like, are you? And I was introducing myself and telling everyone that I was a chef and whatever. And I can remember being in the first room when I met them all, and I was like, oh my God, they're all crazy.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's not crazy. I'm not famous and I'm not crazy, and everyone else is crazy and famous. And then I was like, whatever, I'm just going to have fun, you know? So I would go, Donald would give us the introduction and tell us what the challenge was. Mm-hmm. And it was like playing a game.
It
with
was.
A bunch of crazy
Celebrity Apprentice really was a game. Yeah.
It was. And it was like, it was actually really fun. You know, it was, you don't get to play games much as an adult. I didn't have kids at the time. Now I play games with them all the time. But it was actually really cool. And Trump was Trump, you know, and he was very entertaining and hilarious and all the things that he used to be. And then he ran for president. And you're like, come on, you're not going to run for president.
Like, that's my friend.
But, so I really enjoyed doing the show, you know, and I'm kind of proud that I got fired by the president of the United States of America.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Now, his politics are a different thing.
Oh, do we want to get into that?
We don't even want to get into
it. We don't want to get. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We won't get into that. Okay. I'm curious. Back to cooking, what's the best dish we could order from any of your restaurants?
Oh, well, we change the menu at Maude every 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's always around a wine region. So it's impossible to say the best dish because it depends when you're there. Right now it's Tuscany. In January, February, and March, we'll be honouring the Barossa Valley in South Australia. Then we're off to the Rhone Valley. So anyway, that menu continues to evolve. Mm-hmm. At Gwen, it's a butcher shop, so we have the most unbelievable beef.
I thought you were going to say lamb.
We get great lamb too. Yeah, grass-fed lamb. We bring in Wagyu beef from a supplier in Australia, actually, called David Blackmore. And this guy he makes this beef that would literally make your eyes roll. You know, so good. We cook over open fires, so you should definitely have a steak. We make all our own charcuterie. It's meaty.
It's meaty.
You know.
Well, keto is my life right this minute.
See,
so
you asked me if I want a keto bar. My answer stands.
Cheeseburger.
All right, fine.
And how did you end up at HSN here?
Well, we were developing some kitchenware, and we started off by developing, you know, my attitude to life is just do it the best you possibly can. And we made this really high-end stuff, and we were running around selling it to Williams-Sonoma and Bloomingdale's and, you know, the best retails, the finest retail stores when it comes to bricks and mortar retail. And we brought it here to HSN, and I didn't know much about the model, and we met with a guy named Adam Marlin, who's still the cookware buyer here.
Yeah, he's great.
And I showed him the stuff, and he's a product nerd just like me. He really gets into it, and he's like, wow, this stuff's cool. It all solves a problem, and, you know, it's this and it's that. And he said, but it's not great value. You know, if you want to sell at HSN, it's got to be incredible value. It's got to be good. It's got to solve a problem, but it's got to be great value. And I was like, well, I think it's good value. He's like, no. You don't understand. You're trying to sell a cookware set for $400.
Right.
That's not good value. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah.
It's got to be good and good value. So I was like, okay. So it sort of challenged me in a way to sort of think. And I said, well, I think you should just give it a shot. And he said, all right, we'll give it a shot. So we came on, we sold it. It didn't sell well because it was really highly priced, but it was really, you know, but we got all these 5-star reviews of the people that did buy it. And then Adam said, you've got to harness that. You've got to take something that's this good, but you've got to reduce the price. So then I went back to the drawing board on it and I said, all right, well, let's sit down with the designers and let's really try and figure out how we still keep the quality there, but make it of incredible value. And we did, and we tried and we tried and we failed and we failed and we tried and failed and tried and failed. And we were pretty close to saying it's too difficult. We can't figure it out. So let's not go back, because it's not easy to come out and do the shows. You're on for a couple of days each time and it's on the other side of the country. And it's okay if you're selling something, but if you're not, you're kind of like, why are we doing this again? And I'll never forget the first time we had a real success. I sold a chopper and it's called the Chop Chop.
Yep.
And it was on fire. Everybody was buying it, and I couldn't really tell that while I was on air. But then, as soon as the show ended, Adam Marlin came running through the door. His face was red. He's wiped the sweat off his brow, and he's punched the air with his fist. And I was like, "Wow, looks like someone's happy." And he's like, "It's working. It's flying. It's great. What a product." And sure enough, we went on. That was our first ever Today special, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And ever since, we do 6 or 7 Today specials a year, and the business has grown really substantially. And we have a brand new set of goals that we try to do. The problem that we have to solve problems with our kitchenware, and it has to be great value. Yeah. So that's what we do.
I think you've solved I always have the problem when I crack an egg, and I saw your I think on your social post, where you're blowing on the egg.
Right.
I thought it was
Mary was telling me. I must have missed this.
I was trying to tell Angie the story. I'm like, okay, you got to see this post because he's blowing on this egg because it's a non-stick pan.
This is your pan.
This is the Dura
think about
pan,
it. When you're making your eggs in the morning,
right?
And they stick when you're going to flip. This pan is so
way.
non-stick.
We crack the egg on the pan.
Okay.
You let it cook for a minute, and then I just blew nice big gust of air, and the egg just slid across a pan. I wanted to do it just to prove that nothing would stick to the pan. You want to see it?
Either you have hot breath or this pan is just amazing. Which one is it?
The pan
I do want to see it. I do want to.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I know your pans. I've seen them here. I always. You have to. He's pulling it out.
I'm pulling it out.
Yeah.
The picture, the video, whatever. Yeah. I always get confused with metals. Is it better aluminum, stainless steel, the cast iron? Do you have
I'm bringing it over to show.
All right, come on.
Hold on.
All right.
It's on your social.
We'll share the mic. Oh, here it is.
So
Curtis Stone, social media on Instagram. What?
That was me blowing it.
Okay, it's really happening on his phone. Dude, and you're cracking up. It's only been
And what
my
saucepan
gosh.
is that?
That's
the non-stick.
How many views did I get?
There's over 3,000 on just that.
Okay, that's okay.
Can you catch
We'll
it?
link
Should I hold
this.
it? Okay, because it's gonna beep or buzz.
Because now everyone's going to ask us about the saucepan. We'll have to link it in the show notes.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So tell me, aluminum, do you have a preference? What's better to cook? An overall kind of beginner's guide? Because I love to cook, but
Well, first of all, you have to start with a Dura pan.
No doubt.
And this is how we build it. It's forged aluminum, so great heat conductor. We put a stainless steel disc on the bottom of the pan, so it's super strong. And then we put those 5 layers of Dura pan on the interior, which means that it's the best non-stick on the planet. And I'm not just saying that. We've sold 2.5 million of these things in just a few years, and we spent a lot of time developing it. I think the difference is I don't stick my name on someone else's brand. I own the company.
Hello.
Right? So when you own something, you have to make it work or you're out of business, right? So, I sort of said, let me go and figure out a surface that nothing will stick to. And then we spent a ton of time, developing that, and now we own it. So it's something that we're really proud of.
That's good stuff. What about when it comes to trendy food, like keto, for example? I mean, certain time frames you have to eat, what you eat, no sugar, no this, lots of protein, blah, 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 blah. Any trends that you're trying to adapt your cooking to, or maybe your accessories or anything here at HSN?
Food always changes. It's always been a trend, and it always will be. What we eat is always, somewhat a part of our environment and what we can have access to, but also what we've seen and experienced. You go traveling, I'm sure you've experienced it. You go to Southeast Asia and you come back and suddenly you want to eat, all the food that you had while you're on your vacation. Yeah. I think that for a chef, that's evolution. You've got to continually evolve and continually think about what it is that you're cooking. I try not to get too caught up in the trends, to be honest. Keto, there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely. Paleo, it's a very natural way of eating. So that's a good thing. I think whenever the closer you can get to nature, if you cut out refined sugar from your diet, that's a good thing.
That's
that's not good for you. It's just getting closer to nature.
Yeah.
And I think balance is the most important thing. That's why I don't have New Year's Eve resolutions.
Yeah. You'll come back and see us.
Right.
You'll be like, guess what? Guys, I started a resolution.
I just lost 200 pounds on the beet diet.
I'm looking at your shoes. Look at his shoes. Are those Crocs? Are those leather?
I know,
What
sorry,
are those?
I've got sports socks on, so you can see just an
Those are
inch of my
comfy.
ankle. These are Birkenstocks, and they're that's what chefs wear. They're very comfortable. They're ugly.
Really?
They're very comfortable.
They look really comfy.
Sorry, Mr. Birkenstock.
That's okay. I want to know about like the other side of Curtis. Any pet peeves? Any things we'd really be surprised to know? Because it's just us three in the room.
That's right, yeah. Pet peeves. I don't know if I have pet peeves. Oh, yeah, I do when I travel. Mm-hmm.
Do you carry Clorox wipes and wipe?
No, I'm the opposite.
Really?
Actually, that's a pet peeve.
Get out.
Yeah, I'm like, germaphobes drive me insane. I'm like, there's germs, there's bacteria all over everything. It's okay. We live in the world. It's all right.
Right.
It's funny, you sort of, when our kids first started going to school, people constantly, the doctors, the school teachers, everyone's wash their hands. They have to wash their hands. And I'm like, what? So they get sick all the time? That doesn't make any sense. Let them build up a little immune system.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a balance. Get back to balance. I don't think it's healthy to be wiping, to be killing 100% of bacteria all the time through wipes. It's okay. But this is the environment we live in. We've got to get used to it.
That's true.
Back to the trend question. I'm interested with like all of the veganism and the vegetarian, all these documentaries coming out. What is your opinion on some of these ideas, like veganism kind of taking over? Do you think it's a trend? Do you think it's something?
I think it's beyond a trend, actually.
Yeah.
I do. I think, our environment there's one thing that we never talk about with the environment, and it's the world's population. There's too many of us on this planet.
Yeah.
That's the truth, and I think that if you actually stop and look at that for a second and say, well, there's however many billion, I don't even know what we're up to at the moment. The only person that's ever tried to change that is China, because they couldn't keep up with it. So they put down a one-child policy, and everyone said, well, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Is it more ridiculous than it's overpopulating the planet? I don't know. We're getting pretty heavy here. But I think the environment's something that we really do have to think about. Now, I think as soon as you try to get a blanket fix to that, we run into difficulty, right? Because if you say, well, we all have to stop eating meat, well, then what are we going to eat? We're going to eat crops. So we still need to grow those crops.
Right.
Doesn't that have an effect on the environment? Do we have the space to do it? If 7 billion people start eating, corn and rice and vegetables every single meal. So I think there's got to be a more complex thought pattern before you sort of say, well, if I turn vegan, that's better for the environment. I think, again, you get sick when things aren't in balance. And when you think about our meat consumption, it's irresponsible, right?
Yeah.
Because we eat so much of it and we eat really bad quality. So as a guy that owns a butcher shop, I encourage everyone to eat less beef, but I encourage you to make better choices and eat good quality beef. It should be something we celebrate. Yes, eat a steak, but don't do it 3 times a day. Don't even do it 7 times a week. It should be something that you really savor. It's a special occasion kind of thing. And I think we should be a bit, even just food waste. When you look at what we take from the earth, we waste 70% of everything we produce. And it's disgusting.
It's really bad. Do you cater to that in like your restaurants? Is there anything you do?
We do. Well, we in our butcher shop, we have a lot of older animals. So we'll buy old cows from a dairy and then we'll age that really well. So we'll still get it to being very tender.
Okay.
So you will do a variety of different things. And we also don't sell cheap stuff. We sell expensive stuff, and you can look at that and be like, oh, well, it's very high end. But the truth is, if you produce it properly, that's what it costs.
And most people don't know that.
Yeah.
It's like not just going to the store at the corner to get a little pack of whatever. Yeah, it costs.
And the idea of going to a fast food joint and get a burger for $1, I can't make a burger for $1. Go to the grocery store and try and buy the ingredients.
It's kind of scary when you think about that.
It's kind of disgusting. Yeah.
So how critical would you say it is to buy grass-fed beef versus maybe just good old beef you see at the supermarket.
Right. Well, beef you see at the supermarket, depending on what price you pay for it, it's probably what we call a factory farm that's producing that. Right. So those animals probably stand on a hard floor, like a concrete floor. They're fed grain. And there's nothing wrong with grain-fed beef. But again, if it's not in balance and they're fed to fatten them up fast and to grow them fast, if they're given steroids or growth promotants, I think it's really unhealthy. I don't want to eat something that's had growth promotants, and I don't want to give a calf a steroid to make it grow faster than its bone structure should be able to take. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I think that's cruel. And I've been outspoken about this stuff before, and I've also got legal letters from the people that make the hormones, and I'm kind of like, oh, you know what? I don't care. It's my opinion. I'll say it. I'm not going to back down from it. I think we should produce food naturally, and I think that we should produce food responsibly.
Yep.
I love that. That's awesome. Good point. What can't you cook? Ooh. What do you like? Forget it. Let's order that in. Let's have one of my friends make it. What can't Curtis Stone cook?
I don't do sushi. I don't really think about it.
Really?
My kids love sushi, and I don't know how to make it. I mean, I know how to slice fish, but I don't know how to do the rice properly and roll it. And I've never learned how to do that. And it's funny because one of my favorite things to eat. I love cooking, so I've played a lot with, I know how to cook Indian pretty well. I've lived in the Mediterranean. I've lived in Australia. I've lived in North America. So I've seen lots. Yeah. So I have played with a lot of it. But Japanese is one that Japanese cuisine is very complex. There's lots of elements to it, and it's very, very interesting.
If it's a Friday night at home, what are you typically cooking?
Oh, we eat pretty simply, to be honest.
Like what? Spaghetti and meatballs? What are we talking here?
We have spaghetti and meatballs.
Really?
We have a beautiful veggie garden, so I get my kids out in the garden with me, and I'm teaching them how to garden. Okay. Because I think it's important they know where their food comes from. Mm-hmm. But then I'll stop by the shop, and I'll pick up our butcher shop. I'll get some lamb chops or a steak or a roast chicken, and
it's convenient.
And then I'll just cook it simply. I'll grill it or I'll roast it or whatever, and then we eat the veggies out of the garden. So we do eat pretty simple.
Oh, yeah. You're just like us. You're just like us. He's just Curtis Stone. That's it. So can we get any sneak peeks or previews of maybe what's coming down the pike, whether it's at HSN or out there in the rest of the world, because you're so global? Anything you want to do?
We opened a restaurant this year in Dallas. So we've got Gwen and Maude both in Los Angeles. We've got Dallas now, a restaurant
what's the name of it?
Georgie.
Oh, you're breaking the mold.
What type of food?
Yeah. It's my brother's daughter.
Oh, okay.
It's similar to Gwen. There's a butcher shop, and it's a meat-centric restaurant, but we have a really cool bar. It's a big island bar, so it's got a real vibe. Dallas is a cool joint.
I like Dallas. City. I love Houston, Dallas, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I have a few restaurants with Princess Cruises. It's called Share. So you can eat beautiful food at sea. So restaurants are busy. We're going to open another one downtown LA probably later in 2020, hopefully, maybe 2021. Okay. We'll see if I win or the builder wins. Usually the builder wins, but we'll try.
Clothing line, any more aprons, shoes?
Yeah, I'm not making shoes. I'm working on some aprons. I'm working on a few little things for the kitchen.
Okay.
I think we're getting more and more into the appliance space, and it's a difficult space because you to me, I don't want to just go and buy someone else's product. I want to actually develop something that's amazing.
Right.
So we've got a couple of ideas that we're working on that, I think before someone did the first air fryer, it just didn't exist, right? So it takes that creativity to sort of sit down and be like, I've got an idea and I think, I've got a problem and I want to solve it through a product. So we've got lots more products coming. I think I've got 9 visits scheduled out here at HSN this year. So it's just pretty cool. Yeah.
What's one product from the HSN line, if we were going to buy one, that you would say is absolutely critical? Or at least to start out with.
Well, I think the cookware is the most important. If you have great quality nonstick cookware that works so well, that's the best thing to have, because that'll get you going. That'll get you encouraged to keep on cooking. I have another product. It's called the roll-up dish rack / trivet.
Can I just tell you, that's amazing.
Isn't it so good?
Because you can put a pan on it. You can put your dishes over it. It just literally rolls up. Yeah. That was my first Curtis Stone purchase. That and your pepper mill, your gravity pepper mill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But that rack and that gray color or slate, whatever you call it. Oh,
and you stick it
amazing.
over a tray, like over a cookie sheet, and put a chicken on it. You can roast on it. So it goes up to 500 degrees in the oven. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's your favorite. You're just so cool, right? He's just like so chill. I feel like any second you're just going to unbutton that shirt and sit back and just like he's at home. Not like, anything nothing fresh. Just chilling. Well, we'd love for you to come back anytime to the HSN podcast. Will you just maybe come back?
I sure will.
We got a whole year. You have a lot of TSs coming up, and you could give us the skinny and the fat, and I'll give you the lowdown on my keto.
It's a bit like a therapy session. We covered global warming. We spoke about the president of America. Dang.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
That's how we do it in here.
Vanessa Williams came through. She's one of our first guests. And
I listened to your podcast.
Good. Yeah. Well, she called it the comfort zone. So that's what we want it to be. Just a comfy space to get to know everybody. And
kick off your shoes.
Yeah, that's it.
Jump on the guest back. Should we recreate our photo? Should we do it again?
And then I'll jump on your back.
Yes.
My knees might not make it, but we're going to do that. That's how we're taking it out of here. All right, you ready?
All right.
Let's go.
All right. I'm going to take these off. Mary, get the camera. Guys, we're going to say goodbye for now, but let me jump. Curtis, come get on.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, I got to get on his. Okay. I don't want to hit my head.
Oh, God.
See? Okay. Y'all see this? Ready? Watch. Wait, hold on.
Oh.
Okay. 1, 2,